We will discuss business process solutions. We'll start by defining the term business process, explain how business process management and business process re-engineering work and the associated advantages and disadvantages, identify the different systems needed to support business processes in an organization, explain transaction processing systems and contrast them to enterprise systems, and outline how information technology combined with business processes can bring an organization competitive advantage. So we very well know that the organization converts data into information using the triad of technology, people, and process. Process provides that know-how of how people will use technology to get tasks done. So to define business process formally, we can call it as it's a process that is focused on achieving a goal for a business. Processes are something that businesses go through every day in order to accomplish their mission. A process could be a single task or it could be a series of tasks. And the end goal is it does something of value for the business. A simple task could be sending an email to the customers on a periodic basis about their account statement. Here, the business process could be carried out without any intervention of a human. It's just a machine which is designed to pull the data from a database, compose an email and send it to the client email addresses. Business process can involve humans such as a person billing the customer at the billing counter and collecting money. A process could involve a variety of if then else decisions involved in the task, such as when it comes to making the payment, people can choose different methods of payment. Now these processes undergo changes on a regular basis, so it is important to document them and implement a proper process governance mechanism to continue to track and ensure that the right business process is being used and the latest is available across all the parts of the organization. So documenting a process may not necessarily be done by a Word document or writing down a series of steps. Sometimes it may go beyond explaining them in words and may involve explaining them using a use case. So use case analysis is a very common mechanism to thoroughly understand and explain how business process works. And these processes may also involve the complex if then else conditional execution of the task or running subroutines to make things happen. Let's take a simple example of creating a Wikipedia page. Let us say we want to create a Wikipedia page on a topic of interest or a person of interest. So the process may not necessarily be just about creating a page. It is searching the Wikipedia and see if somebody else has already done it or not. If it is found, then there are two possibilities. One, it is up to date with the latest information, or one may choose to update it with the information and then go ahead with searching another term to create another Wikipedia page which is not already there on Wikipedia. If it is not found, it does not necessarily mean that one goes ahead and creates a page. One will check whether a related term which explains the same entity or person or a event already exists or not. If it exists, then just creating a simple redirect is sufficient. When it passes the second level filter, that it is not found, the page is not found, and there is no related term, then a new article can be created. So the Wikipedia pages need to also maintain what we call as the version control. We need to know who is creating it, who is vetting it or moderating it, who is authorizing it, etc. So a version history is maintained, the timestamps of those version history are maintained, approvals and workflows need to be guaranteed, and the appropriate communication need to be made to the appropriate people to tell them that a new process is being implemented and they should be following this new process. And then a monitoring is done, etc. All these are business process governance models. So the document management systems are not sufficient enough to document complex processes, or sometimes the natural languages like English may be incapable of explaining complex business processes. So diagramming tools are used, and specialized business process diagramming tools are there, and the commonly used ones are business process modeling notation, BPMN. We have data flow diagrams and the unified modeling language, or more popularly called as UML. So these are the different types of tools which are used to describe or record the business processes. So business processes needs to be managed and governed, and it can be thought of as an intentional effort to plan, document, implement, and distribute an organization's business processes with the support of information technology. So business process management is not just about automating some simple steps. It is not about creating some passive documents which record all this information, right? But it may involve actually having the active business processes which can be executed in the digital space and making the latest version available to people. Business process management tools may involve a automation of the business process change as well. For example, let us say a BPO unit is running a call center for for let's say one particular geography. Now business process unit may be miles away, and and for a disaster strikes, and you may have, let's say, earthquake in one of the locations where the business process outsourcing unit is operating. In such a situation, when the calls are made, how do we ensure the business process resiliency or continuity to ensure that the service standards are guaranteed despite a natural disaster occurring in some location? So it may just involve dragging a business process from geography X to geography Y in the digital world, and the calls would continue to be redirected to another unit which is not affected by the earthquake. So on the fly, business processes can be modified, executed in the digital space without anybody realizing the disaster in the background. The customers on the other end of the world might continue to receive the customer care services despite the things not running smoothly. So business process management benefits include empowerment of the employees, that the employees would be able to act and take decision and get things done. For example, an employee would be able to accept returns made before 14 days after the purchase, and process it. So business processes, when clearly defined with the terms and conditions, can be executed automatically, and the if then else rules can be inbuilt into the system itself. BPM systems can also do the reporting and generate the reports on a regular basis. They also bring in the best practices enforced across the different units of the business or the different geographical locations. And finally, a proper business process management system can guarantee a consistent policy across the multiple outlets of the business. Now, the organizations manage their processes to gain competitive advantage, and it's important to understand that existing ways of doing business may not be efficient and effective. So we may re-engineer the business processes. And business process re-engineering is the repurposing or reinventing the business process, which may involve understanding the goals and looking at the best alignment of the processes with those goals. If those processes are not very efficient or the expectations are different, then dramatically redesigning it from ground up may be required, and that may lead to significant improvements in the productivity and the quality. So business process reengineering is a way to continuously seek to improve, infuse the new technologies, bring in the new people skills to enhance the business processes. Now, as the businesses are becoming more and more global and surpassing the boundaries of location and time, that is, anybody can do business from any part of the world at any time. Those are not possible without having proper information systems. So we will discuss the information systems that help us manage those business processes. So we can look at businesses arranged in hierarchy of strategy on the top and the tactical implementation at the bottom of the hierarchy. So different tiers of thinking in the business would require different types of systems. So transaction processing system is a very basic system which is typically used by the front end employees of the organization. Then we have the managerial information system, which kind of aggregates the information at the operational level and makes it available to the middle managers. Then we have the senior managers who may want to have the decision support systems, which consolidates the information available through the MIS. And finally, the executives would require a strategic executive information system. So we'll talk about some of these systems in the context of the evolving digital business world and how these systems help us manage and enhance the business processes. So let's talk about the transaction processing system. It is a system that collects, modifies, and retrieves business transaction data. Now, we have a significant large number of transaction processing systems which are very manual in nature. Let us say when you make a deposit at a bank, which involves a teller who would collect that money and enter it into the system, and the system captures that transaction. Or you may have a self-serve transaction management system like an ATM, where you may go and deposit the money yourself and there is no another human involved. It's a system and the client directly interacting. At the same time, we may talk about a completely automated transaction processing system, such as a telecom service. When you make a phone call or initiate a data transaction, it is not possible to either manually be reported by customers or manually be collected by the organization. So in that case, we have what we call as online transaction processing system. The customer is doing what they want to do, and the system in the backend is capturing the business activity or the transaction activity based on which the invoice could be generated. Now, these systems come with certain limitations also. Sometimes you may have a large amount of data being collected in a very short span of time. Maybe a telecom company might be collecting millions of transactions every minute because people all over the network are making calls, sending data, exchanging information, etc. So these informations could be batch processed on a regular basis to keep the backup and ensure that all the transactions are complete and reliable. Then we have the next tier is of management information system that extracts data from these transaction processing systems. Based on that, it kind of generates reports and status updates and alerts for the middle managers. For example, if you're making a sale at a store, as soon as the certain items are billed, the organization or the retail store will get to understand that certain inventories are depleting, and somebody may be asked to come and replenish the inventory from the warehouse to the front end of the store. On the other hand, somebody might look at that, hey, the item has been moved from the warehouse to the front of the store, and may place order with the suppliers to supply more of those items or replenish those inventories. So that is where the management information system comes into picture. Now there could be sometimes be a complete information available about the transaction, that hey, here is the customer who has made the payment using so and so credit card, and these are the items the person has bought, etc., etc. But there are times when a person might use a gift card and we do not know who that person is by looking at the gift card, because gift card is not tied to the person. Or somebody might just decide to pay in cash. In that case, there is no information or intelligence available about the customers. So businesses might come up with mechanisms, programs, loyalty programs, reward programs to encourage the customer to self-identify themselves, so that all the transactions related to the customers can be tied together and analyzed, and some meaningful insights could be drawn. Now, the business activities are happening at different levels, in different departments, in different units, and that information may become too scattered and ensuring the integrity and guarantee that complete information is captured and available for somebody who wants to either analyze or do some more advanced decision making basis. That's where we have the decision support systems or the executive information systems. We need a system which kind of ties all these things together. For that, we need is a enterprise resource planning system. So it was designed in late 70s, and some of the best ERP vendors are SAP, Microsoft, and Oracle. So what it does is it kind of brings in the data coming from sales, logistics, manufacturing, planning, budgeting, vendors, accounting and finance, etc., and makes it available to the right people at the right time in the right format. These, when put together, can actually help create a decision support system or an executive information system. So some of the specific or the interesting or the important components of the enterprise systems include customer relationship management. So a CRM manages an organization's customers, are often used to empower employees to track and record data at nearly every point of customer contacts, because customers can contact at a physical store, can contact through a phone call, can contact through a website or an email, and so on. So how do you kind of tie them all together so that all communications are available to the next advisor or the service agent to to understand and resolve any customer queries. The another system is the supply chain management system that handles the interconnection between these links between the purchasing, production, distribution throughout the entire chain of value addition on the raw material to finished goods and solving the customer's problem. So for that we have the supply chain management system, and as the businesses undertake business activities, there is a learning that's happening, and many times the learning may be tacit and it needs to be made available to all the departments or all the units of the business. So all this knowledge that is acquired is managed through specialized systems called as knowledge management systems. A knowledge management system is a process of creating, formalizing the capture, indexing, storing and sharing of the company knowledge in order to benefit from the experiences and insights that the company has captured during its existence. There may be some companies which heavily rely on knowledge management, such as consulting companies, business consulting companies, strategic consulting companies. So they heavily rely on the knowledge management system. So these are the set of systems that kind of help in managing the business processes. So the key takeaways from this session is the advent of information technologies has had a huge impact on how organizations design, implement and support business processes. From document management systems to ERP systems, information systems are tied into organizational processes. Using business process management, organizations can empower employees and leverage their processes for competitive advantage. Using business process reengineering, organizations can vastly improve their effectiveness and the quality of their products and services. Integrating information technology with business processes is one way that information systems can bring an organization lasting competitive advantage. Finally, an ERP system stores all data in a centralized database that is made accessible to all programs and departments across the organization. Thank you.